Because I mentioned that because I'm thinking to myself, we emerging economies, those who want to tap into China's rapid economic growth, are going to put some of their holdings in the Chinese yuan. Where would China put their own currency? Because they're complaining, there's so many complaints about the US dollar. Where would China themselves put their own currency? If something does happen to the US tomorrow, the US economy, and the dollar loses its reserve status, what will happen to China's holdings?
No, I think that goes back to the question of size.
Okay.
It's not possible for the dollar to lose its reserve status, because
the UK did lose. The British pound was once the reserve currency of the world. It lost that status and gave way to the US dollar.
It's still a reserve currency. When we say reserve currency, we mean the largest reserve currency.
Okay.
Most countries have their reserves in a basket of currencies. Right now, the dollar is the largest. There's hardly any country in the world that has all its reserves in one currency. But the US dollar is referred to as the reserve currency because it has maybe 70-80% of foreign reserve at any time. Even the Nigerian foreign reserve is not all in dollars. Some of it in Japanese yen, some of it in pound sterling, some of it in euro. But the predominant part of it is in dollars. But what you are going to find is that the portion held in dollars will be going down slowly. It's not going to happen like 50 years' time, there will be no more. It's going to come from 80 or 90% to what it is now, maybe to 70%, 75%.
So right now, according to the CBN, right now, Nigeria's 79% of Nigeria's holdings are dollar denominated.
Exactly.
Is that too high in the first place?
It was too high because we were importing less and less from the US. If you are importing from Europe and you are holding your currency in dollars, each time you import from Europe, you have to convert your dollars into pound sterling if you are buying from England, to French francs if you are buying from France, and now to euro. So each time you exchange money, of course, you pay a fee. So it was not a good strategy to have so much of our currency in dollar denomination. But the cost of conversion was the reason why it is slow to convert, because each time you convert, you lose money, especially if you convert at a time where the original currency is really going down. So it's going to be a gradual process, but there's nothing really dramatic about it. You are going to have all countries moving their currency reserves, getting a better balance. Easily, take 5 years, you begin to hear of Indian rupees. Because India is moving so fast, they are going to get into the basket very soon. And next, you probably see the Brazilian currency.
Interesting. Let's talk about the trade relations between Nigeria and China. Now, China currently accounts for about 15% of Nigeria's imports. How do you see this relationship going beyond what it is right now? And the central bank also mentioned yesterday that the Chinese government might allow the Nigerian government to buy bonds in yuan-denominated currencies, and that it's expecting also for China to come into the country to also invest in some of the key sectors like the energy or agriculture.
Well, I think it's easy to predict, both for us in Nigeria, for all our other trading partners. They know that China is here. China is coming very big. Today is 15. Everybody knows it could be 20, it could be 25, it could be 30 in a few years' time. The Chinese themselves are very aggressive in coming to Africa. Africa is the last frontier in the world. There is no other continent in the world to go to make money. So the Chinese are going to come. They are heavily backed by their foreign reserves. They are backed by their government. So we expect and we are seeing a lot more Chinese investment, not just in Nigeria, but in other countries. But why Nigeria? Nigeria is the largest country in Africa in terms of population, in terms of economic resource. We are now number 2 in Africa. It's clear that give or take another 5-10 years, we'll become number 1 in Africa. So any major economy in the world that wants to play in Africa wants to be very well established in Nigeria, because from Nigeria you can play in the whole of Middle Africa. That's East, West, and Central Africa. Nigeria is where you want to set your base. You cannot really play in East, West, and Central Africa if you are not strong in Nigeria.
Now, there's been this, will I call it a rumor, it's been going on now for several months from the U.S., from the West particularly, and they seem to have some kind of suspicions towards China. The reasons why China is just all of a sudden being so aggressive in going into the regions, especially Africa and other parts of the world. Do you think this is baseless?
No, it's not a suspicion. It's a recognition of facts. The Chinese have now got the resources. They have the technology. They have the money. they have the support of the government to go to the world and conquer the world economically.
But they're saying that the Chinese government is not exactly, where they're a communist nation, they're not exactly benevolent, if I could use that word. So there's that fear that the Chinese is not, they don't have the kind of policies that the West have. Their human rights record is not so clean, as it were. So there's that fear.
Well, we don't have any benevolent investors from anywhere.
Okay.
The Europeans are not investing in Nigeria because they like us. They are investing here because they can make money here. So whoever is coming to invest, first of all, we Nigerians should know that they are not coming for the love of Nigerians. They are coming here for returns on investment. Anyone coming into Nigeria is saying, how much return can I make on my investment? If I can make more money in Nigeria than in Togo or in Congo or in Argentina, then I come to Nigeria. The Chinese know for fact that Nigeria is definitely the economic giant of Africa, and therefore they have to be here, whether or not anybody likes it. The Chinese position is, we are going after all the opportunities in the world. America may not like it, Europe may not like it.
No, well, they certainly don't.
But that's the fact. That's why you find the Germans were here, the British were here, the Americans are all over, because they recognize the fact that they are losing ground. They are losing, they will continue to lose. There's nothing they can do about it.